Have you ever thought about how different road trips used to be before GPS and smartphones took over? What happened to the charm of spontaneous detours and those moments of wonder that only a good old-fashioned American road trip could provide? Imagine the thrill of navigating with a paper map, discovering quirky roadside diners, and pulling off at a random scenic stop for a picnic. In today's video, we're diving deep into the top 8 lost American road trip traditions that made travel magical. These customs used to define the open road, making every journey an adventure, not just a commute. From quirky landmarks to the excitement of navigating unknown routes, let's take a look at how road trips used to be and why they were so special. Let's get started. 1. Navigating with paper maps. Can you even imagine planning a road trip without GPS or Google Maps? Before we had turn-by-turn directions on our phones, we had paper maps, the old-school way of navigating the open road. Picture this. You'd sit down with a giant folded map, highlighting your route with a bright yellow marker, tracing every exit, rest stop, and scenic overlook along the way. Sure, it was a little tedious and required some patience, but that's what made it exciting. You had to commit to memory the streets, highways, and all those tiny back roads that might take you off the beaten path. The best part? There was no recalculating. If you missed a turn, you simply had to retrace your steps with the map. It was a slower way of traveling, but the magic was in the unpredictability. Every wrong turn or detour led to new discoveries. Today, the precision of digital mapping has made it easy to drive without thinking. But there's something nostalgic about unfolding a map, figuring out where you are, and being a part of the journey in a hands-on way. 2. Stays at independent motor lodges. Before the days of predictable chain hotels, there was a unique charm to staying at independent motor lodges. These little roadside gems were a fixture of the American road trip experience. No two motor lodges were alike. Each one had its own quirky design, neon lights, and a certain personal touch that made the stay feel special. Families would pull into the parking lot, eager to check in, grab a key, and rest their tired feet in rooms that often came with a few unexpected surprises, like fun wallpaper or vintage furniture. It was never about luxury. It was about the experience. Whether it was a stay in a family-owned establishment or an over-the-top themed motel, it was a far cry from the cookie-cutter experiences offered by today's hotel chains. Now, with the rise of big-name hotel brands, the magic of these small, independent lodges has faded, but the memories still linger. Today, staying in an old-school motor lodge feels like stepping back in time, where you could be anywhere in America, yet it felt like home. 3. Dining at roadside diners and greasy spoons. If you grew up taking road trips in the 80s or 90s, you probably have memories of stopping at those iconic roadside diners and greasy spoons. These small, family-owned restaurants were more than just places to eat. They were part of the charm of the journey. Picture it, a warm cup of coffee in hand, a plate of pancakes, or a burger, and the smell of bacon sizzling on the grill. These diners were often located off the highway, serving up hearty meals to truckers, travelers, and locals alike. It wasn't about fancy meals or Instagrammable food. It was about comfort, flavor, and that homey feeling you couldn't get at a fast food joint. Now, as fast food chains dominate and drive-through convenience wins out, these diners have been replaced with more efficient but far less personal options. But there's something special about those roadside stops, the kind of place where you could relax, chat with the server, and leave feeling like you had a little slice of Americana. 4. Hunting for kitschy roadside attractions. One of the best parts about a road trip was the joy of spotting a bizarre, over-the-top roadside attraction and pulling over for a quick stop. Whether it was the world's largest ball of twine, the Corn Palace, or the giant dinosaur statues of California, these quirky stops were more than just tourist traps. They were an integral part of the road trip experience. What made these stops so exciting was their unpredictability. No map could truly prepare you for the oddities you'd find on the road. Each stop had its own charm, and no two attractions were ever the same. They brought families together, encouraged exploration, and added an element of surprise to the journey. As interstates and major highways became more direct and efficient, many of these weird and wonderful stops were bypassed, leading to their decline. While they may have lost their prime location, these roadside attractions live on in memory, an essential part of what made 5. Roadside picnics and laybys. Before every exit had a Starbucks or fast food chains, there were the humble roadside picnics. Families would pull off at a quiet layby, spread out a blanket, and unpack a simple picnic lunch or snack for the road. It wasn't about fancy meals, it was about being together, enjoying a break, and soaking up the surroundings. Whether it was homemade sandwiches, a thermos of coffee, or some chips and fruit, picnicking on the side of the road was a quintessential part of the travel experience. It was a time to take a breather, chat, and watch the world go by. Today, rest stops are often full of vending machines and on-the-go food options. But there's something about those quiet, scenic spots where families could just be for a few minutes. 6. Analog entertainment and car games. How did kids entertain themselves during long road trips in the 80s and 90s, before screens became the go-to option? With a bit of imagination and a few classic car games. From I Spy to the alphabet game, the back seat was a hive of competition and laughter. One of the best memories was playing games like the license plate game, where kids try to spot as many different state plates as possible. Or how about the quiet game, which, let's be honest, usually didn't last long. Without tablets or smartphones, kids had to make their own fun, often leading to moments of unexpected creativity and bonding. These car games gave the whole family a reason to interact during the journey. With no screens to distract them, kids were more focused on what was happening around them. Today, it seems almost impossible to imagine a long trip without screens. But back then, those simple games turned the hours into an adventure. 7. Buying produce from roadside stands. One of the most charming aspects of American road trips was stopping at small, local produce stands to pick up fresh fruits, vegetables, and homemade goods. These roadside markets were often run by local farmers, offering everything from peaches to boiled peanuts and fresh honey. Stopping at these stands wasn't just about the produce, it was about the experience. It allowed travelers to connect with the local culture and take home a piece of the community. Plus, there is something special about buying directly from the people who grew the food. It felt more personal, more authentic, and a lot less commercialized than the supermarket stops we're using now. 8. Driving iconic mother roads. Before interstates took over the landscape, roads like Route 66 were more than just highways. They were destinations themselves. These iconic mother roads were the backbone of American road trips, offering scenic views, historic stops, and quirky landmarks that made every trip feel like an adventure through history. Route 66, often called the Main Street of America, became a symbol of freedom and exploration. People traveled there for decades, and each stop along the way was an experience, whether it was a gas station with a quirky sign or a small diner with an unforgettable piece of Americana. However, as the interstates became the preferred method of travel, these roads were slowly decommissioned, and many of the old, neon-lit towns that dotted the routes became abandoned. There you have it, 8 lost traditions that defined the golden age of American road trips. These practices didn't just make the journey memorable. They created moments of connection, laughter, and unexpected surprises. While technology has certainly made road trips more convenient, it's hard not to feel nostalgic for those simpler days when the road was full of adventure. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment below and tell me which lost tradition you wish would make a comeback. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.